Welcome to AFSPA Talks, a production of the American Foreign Service Protective Association with Chief Operating Officer Kyle Longton. Be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast channel. Enjoy the episode.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of AFSPA Talks. I'm Kyle Longton, the Chief Operating Officer of AFSPA, and it's been a while, and I appreciate you hanging in there with us. We've taken the last month and a half or so since our last episode to give some thought to what we want to do with the podcast and also some new initiatives that we'd like to undertake in conjunction with the podcast. So we'll be coming into your feed pretty regularly from now on. And this episode is going to serve basically as a preview for the rest of this month, as well as an introduction to some of the new opportunities, particularly one new opportunity for you to interact directly with me and others at AFSPA, and that opportunity is on the horizon. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But to assist me with this preview and talking about the new opportunity, I'm happy to welcome my co-host for this month, Adrian Coleman Seabrooks. Adrian, welcome to AFSPA Talks.
Well, thank you, Kyle. Hello, everyone. And I'm very excited to participate today with Aspa Talks.
And Adrian, of course, this is not your first time sitting in on a recording of the podcast, but I think it is your first time joining us on the microphone. So thanks for doing that. Now, currently you are AFSPA's Senior Director of Ancillary Insurance Programs, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But I'd appreciate if you could take a few minutes to introduce yourself to our listeners a bit. Your international background goes back to your earliest days, is that right?
It does. And thank you again for having me. I am Adrian Coleman Seabrooks, and as Kyle mentioned, I am the Senior Director of Ancillary Insurance Programs at AFSPA. I have to say that I do have an international background thanks to my parents. They encouraged my sister and I to travel both domestically and internationally and to experience different cultures. I was actually born in France. My father and mother lived on the economy in a very small village, Rosières-Aunay, in the northwestern part of France. And a funny story, my mother's neighbor was expecting at the same time that she was. They went in labor around the same time, and they delivered on the same day. So my mother had moi, a girl, and her neighbor had a boy named Pierrot. I don't remember much at that age about France or that experience, but I did have the opportunity to go back and visit as a young adult and connect with that family. And it was really interesting to meet this person that I've only seen pictures of as an infant. So that was a great experience.
I think that's great.
I did take advantage because of my parents. I took advantage of several study abroad programs in high school. My family hosted some exchange students from Australia and France. And I went on to take advantage of study abroad while I was in college.
And where did you go to college?
I went to college at Spelman College. It's a historically Black college for women in Atlanta, Georgia. And as I mentioned, while I was there, I took advantage of two study abroad programs. I studied a summer in Haiti, the healthcare system, and then I studied also in West Africa, specifically Ghana, but I did get to travel throughout West Africa to several countries. I was a science major. I majored in biology. And I parlayed that into a career in the insurance industry.
And can you talk a little bit about your career before you came to AFSPA, and then we'll get into your time at AFSPA?
Sure. Prior to my employment at AFSPA, I worked in several insurance companies, with several insurance companies, a major dental insurance company. I also have a background in mental health. I worked for the largest mental health insurance company in the United States. And I also worked with health insurance, so I do have a strong insurance background.
And broad, it sounds like. And you've now been at AFSPA for over 15 years, and you spent all of that time in our ancillary insurance programs, or AIP. What has that entailed since you started?
Well, I was very fortunate to be hired into the AIP department. And not only did I bring some experience to the department, but I actually grew while employed in AIP. We have branched out to 14 different insurance programs, including disability and a new critical illness insurance. I started at entry level as a customer service representative and actually grew in the company to now be the overseer of the department as the senior director.
That's right. And we talked about this in a previous episode, but your team also handles the day-to-day work and some of the long-term projects of our Senior Living Foundation as well.
Yeah. In 2020, we took on that responsibility. It's been very rewarding. I think I can speak for the staff to know that we're a part of such a beneficial foundation and how we help the Foreign Service community. So that has been a wonderful undertaking for AIP, and we take great pride in it.
And I'll just encourage our listeners, if you're interested in learning more about the Senior Living Foundation, we have an episode from November of last year with a little bit more information about the foundation, as well as recording of a webinar that we did with the Department of State. But Adrian, you obviously have a fantastic background, and not just at AFSPA, but beyond that. And that makes you exactly the person we want to guide us through this month as we're focused on ancillary insurance programs. You mentioned before disability and critical illness, which are two programs that we launched just last year in the midst of the pandemic, in which you've been pushing for some time. But can you give us a quick overview beyond those two programs? What do we mean when we say AIP at AFSPA?
Certainly, and I'm always happy to talk about AIP offerings. AIP, or the Ancillary Insurance Programs Department, oversees and administers all of the insurance programs offered through AFSPA outside of the Foreign Service Benefit Plan. So what is interesting to me and what I recently learned is that the company was actually founded through the AIP department. The first program ever offered was a life insurance program. So I think we all seem to think it was the Foreign Service Benefit Plan, but it was actually our department. So that was a morale booster for our department for sure. But through the years, we've grown from offering just life insurance, and we actually offer 4 life insurance programs now. We offer 4 dental insurance programs. We offer a dental and vision discount program. As I mentioned, we offer disability and several disability options for our members. We offer critical illness insurance. This is our newest offering, and it really is worth looking into when we think about our health and our family, and just wanting that financial buffer should we ever be diagnosed, and hopefully not, with a serious critical illness. We have a closed long-term care plan, but we offer several professional services, and one of those services is a long-term care consulting service. Linda Carruthers of the Long-Term Care Consultants Incorporated is very knowledgeable and can help guide you through the long-term care process if you're looking for a long-term care insurance plan, or just to get some education about long-term care. We also offer a legal service program that enables you to receive legal consults at discount and legal services from 3 area legal offices, and they are well versed in legal matters, not only domestically, but also overseas. We also have a financial wellness program or service. It's an online digital tool, and it's wonderful in terms of helping you to assess your financial status, wellness status, and to help you to maintain a financial wellness portfolio.
And all that in addition to some of our lesser known programs such as travel and members of household insurance.
Yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Kyle.
Yeah. These are some programs that we may forget about because there's a somewhat limited audience, but those programs are so important to the people who use them.
It is, and especially members of household, because you do have family members, you may have friends that come visit you overseas. Most countries now mandate that you show some proof of overseas medical or health coverage. So this is a great program for those that may be visiting you while you're overseas, or a foreign national that may be visiting and living with you here in the United States, but it will provide them with major medical coverage in the interim.
That's right. And Adrian, you've given us quite the overview of the portfolio that you manage, but I'm glad to say you don't have to do all of that alone. You've got a great team to help you. Is that right?
Yes, I can't speak highly enough of the team. They currently we have a team of 3 insurance specialists and a supervisor, all very knowledgeable, and not only the insurance programs that we offer at AFSPA, but are knowledgeable about these insurance plans in general. So if you are looking to enroll in a plan, maybe ours is not a good fit, we can still provide you that guidance and education about those plans.
That's great. And Adrian, you kind of hinted at this before. A lot of people think of AFSPA and they think of the Foreign Service Benefit Plan, but our deepest roots back to 1929 are in the ancillary space, and I am excited to raise the profile of some of our AIP offerings this month on AFSPA Talks. Can you share a little bit about what we have planned this month, in no particular order?
Okay, I'll be happy to, and I'm excited to. We are going to be featuring Carrington. That is our dental vision discount program. It is not insurance. It is a discount program that offers a bundle of services: dental, routine vision, and also LASIK. We also are going to speak about long-term care and disability. Many of the areas that we are focusing on, or will be focusing on in the month of May, are from questions that we've received from members. And one of the major questions was, what's the difference between long-term disability and critical illness? So we will focus on that. We'll also focus on life insurance, and specifically the different types of life insurances. There are hybrids now that have benefits that you can use while you're living. And one of those is a chronic illness benefit. So we will be talking about that, but also helping to distinguish between the differences between the types of life insurances, including accidental death and dismemberment.
Just a terrible name. I have to say, it doesn't sell itself, but
it doesn't. But it's so important because
it is, and it describes exactly what it covers.
You're absolutely right. And I commute. I have an hour commute. I believe you have a longer commute now. And I can't tell you how many near accidents I have gotten into on my daily commute. So it kind of resonated to me. I happen to enroll. It's very inexpensive coverage.
Yep.
And I encourage everyone to add that to their insurance portfolio.
Yeah, no, I added it to mine even before I had the longer commute. Now that I've moved from closer in suburb to sort of an exurb of the DC area. But
Exactly.
and Adrian, I think we're also going to try to do a program. We're still working on this, on the financial wellness program that you mentioned before. And I think that will be good. Sort of, yes, student loans are on a pause for repayment, but mortgage interest rates, as we're recording this, are at an 11-year high at more than 5%. And so, that people still are trying to figure out how to save, how to pay down debt, and so forth. And I look forward, I hope, as we line things up, to providing some information about that.
Not to mention the sandwich generation too.
Yeah.
I'm actually experiencing that myself. But you're having an elderly parent, you have young children or children entering college. How do we navigate that financially?
Absolutely, and helping them navigate their needs financially, whether it's long-term care planning for parents or getting kids set up on their own and out of the house. You're more in that mode than I am at the moment in terms of getting the kids out of the house. But
this is a good time to think about it. I wish I had thought about it years ago.
I understand. So obviously we won't have time over the course of this month to touch on every program. So I want to encourage our listeners to go to AFSPA's YouTube page. You can go to YouTube and search for AFSPA Cares. And we'll also put a link in our show notes to a video about our AIP offerings that we put together in September of last year. So you'll hear some fantastic information from Adrian. There's also some contributions from our CEO, Paula Jacob, and even some comments from former Undersecretary of State for Management, Pat Kennedy, with whom we worked on a number of these programs, particularly our immediate benefit program, our immediate benefit plan, as well as the members of household offerings. All right, Adrian, before we wrap up, I've been sitting on something I'm excited about. Do you think that it's time that we shared?
Let's tell them.
All right. So
I'm excited as well.
we're building our AFSPA branded communication devices. So you're listening to AFSPA Talks right now. You've read AFSPA Listens in our newsletters, and if you haven't, go get our latest newsletter on the website. But now I'm excited to announce a new monthly segment that's about to premiere called AFSPA Live. This is something I wanted to do for a long time. A new opportunity for me to interact with you. And in this month, Adrian and I will be able to interact with you on a live basis. So it's going to be an online show that will provide that opportunity for AFSPA members and our podcast listeners to ask live questions and get real-time answers from AFSPA leaders. And once again, that's going to include me most of the time. We may have Paula on from time to time. We'll have other topic experts like Adrian join us. But it'll be time for you to ask questions about AFSPA benefits and services, or about previous AFSPA Talks, podcasts, topics, and discussions. So please mark your calendars. Our first AFSPA live show will air on Thursday, May 26th. We are putting the final details together now, so look out for details about how you can participate in our live show. We may even have some opportunities for you to send in questions in advance if you can't join us because of your time zone and need to sleep. We certainly support that if you can't join us live. So Adrian, thank you for joining me today and agreeing to join me the rest of the month, including for our premiere episode of AFSPA Live. And I think we'll be back in about a week with an episode for everybody on one of our AIP programs.
Looking forward to it, Kyle. And I'm thank you so much for highlighting the AIP department and their programs.
Absolutely. Thanks, Adrian.
Bye-bye.
For more information about AFSPA's ancillary insurance programs, please visit www.afspa.org/AIP. This has been AFSPA Talks, a production of the American Foreign Service Protective Association. All information offered in this podcast is meant to be educational. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily represent AFSPA. Should there be any discrepancy between information offered in this podcast and official plan documents for the Foreign Service Benefit Plan or the other products offered by AFSPA, the policy provisions will prevail. Thank you for listening, and be sure to subscribe to AFSPA Talks to catch our next episode.